When you look at their defense and the challenges they've had in the first 2 weeks, what's the message that you give to your team?
Yeah, they've had certainly some challenges, but at the same time, they've also played well in spurts. It was 7-0 towards the tail end of the second quarter with New England, and then it kind of got away, later in that game. But they got players. They still got talent. And they're still good, and you got to play well.
How you try not to look at the numbers you guys are producing and look at what you're seeing on tape and everything?
Yeah, you're just looking at it game by game. Obviously, we've been fortunate to play pretty well for 2 games. Still plenty of little things to clean up, plenty of things that in the long run you got to get cleaned up and fixed. But it's been good.
Kellen, what do you credit to Dak's increased accuracy so far? I mean, was there a change in his throwing motion that maybe?
I think just he's getting older. He's getting more comfortable with everything. He's trusting himself. He's letting it rip, and obviously the guys around him. I think he feels really comfortable with those guys.
How far has he come since when you first knew him in that aspect from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think it's natural. Any player any quarterback, the more you're around it, the more comfortable you get, the more trust probably you have in your abilities and all that sorts of stuff. And I think he's been doing a great job.
So it's more seeing it than any kind of footwork.
Yeah,
I think point.
There's a little bit of everything. I think some mechanical stuff, some just trusting it and letting it rip, being on time, getting comfortable with all those aspects. I think there's a lot of variables to it.
It just looks a lot easier for him in general through the motion. I mean, is there stuff that he worked on specifically to try and make it less rigid necessarily?
Yeah. I think the last couple of years he's been working on different things, and at the end of the day, you just want to be in a comfortable position that you can repeat over and over again.
How do you replace the production that you're missing from Michael's absence?
Yeah, we like Michael. Obviously, he's done a tremendous job for us. Fortunately, we feel like we got some depth there with Devin and Sed and whoever else is a part of it, and so I think we'll be good.
I know it's only Thursday, but what sort of challenges, if any, does it present if you only have 4 receivers for this game?
Yeah, obviously, get them all a part of it. Play all 4, 5, however it ends up being. At the end of the day, play all those guys. We got tight ends that we can play a little bit as well, and so you got different personnel packages that you can play in, and doesn't mean we have to be in 11 all the time. 11 personnel with 3 receivers. We can play in some other personnel. We'll be fine.
That one touchdown, Devin didn't have a ton of separation until the ball was in the air. Then he had some extra juice to get there.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him physically, mentally, across the board?
Yeah, you can just tell he's just getting so much better and probably more comfortable. Probably where he wants to be. As training camp went on, he just got better and better every time, and he's continuing to do that in camp. And he's got the speed. I think it was just getting back into football and all that sort of stuff, which obviously he's done a tremendous job with.
What do you think Dak's got such good chemistry so quickly with some of his receivers?
Yeah, I think they spend a lot of time together. They talk through things. Things aren't perfect in practice, so let's talk about it. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. I think there's a really good communication aspect there with all those guys.
When you were a quarterback, did it happen for you that quickly when you was at Boise State, or even when you got to this level? The chemistry was fast, or?
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone, and I think fortunately him, Amari, MG, even Randall coming in for the offseason, you have a whole offseason with all those guys and spend a lot of time together. They take advantage of that time, and they've been getting a lot better.
How much you look at other offenses during the week and think, all right, this might work here against these guys? Do you do that, or is it strictly about you guys?
Yeah, I watch a decent amount. At the end of the day, you kind of got to hone it back in. But I like looking around, seeing where the trends are and what other people are doing. Certainly some things you may say, hey, that probably fits us right now. Maybe some are just throw it on an idea list, and maybe it comes up down the line.
When you think looking at guys, well, there's a lot of guys your age in that. Is that who the guys? I mean, Cincinnati, Green Bay, obviously McVay in LA. I mean, there's.
Yes.
Are you seeing this kind of transition from to everybody looking for this younger?
Yeah, naturally you're watching a lot of those guys. They're doing a lot of good stuff in the league right now, and so you watch those guys. But you watch common opponents and all those different things, maybe similar defenses. So you try and piece it all together, watch as much football as you can, and see what maybe fits us in the long run.
Obviously, y'all have a pretty good start at running back, but when you look at what Tony's done at this point, is there like an idea or a roadmap for you of ways that he can get more involved in the offense as the season goes?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that Tony can get involved, and it's a long season. So you kind of, we'll see where it takes us ultimately. Zeke's getting more and more back into it fully, and so it's been great for him. It's been great to have Tony still there to kind of balance that out and take those reps when he needs to, and then we'll find other ways as we go that Tony can get on the field as well.
What's your thought process in that third quarter with Tony and Zeke? What's your thought process and how you like to use them?
Yeah, I think we're just probably balancing out. The first half, really, Zeke took probably almost all of them except maybe 2. And so naturally, we still feel great about Zeke. We were just probably making sure, we don't overdo it in the second game back. So it was perfect. Tony got in there, started playing, get Zeke back in there, kind of bouncing back and forth. And I think it ended up, pretty balanced and pretty, on point as far as play snaps that we probably would have loved to have.
Did you guys get the tracked during the game? You go into halftime and like, wow, Zeke's played more than we thought. Let's manage him a little bit on the onset this second.
Yeah, probably a little bit. Yeah, it's just seeing those snap counts. I think this is our 3rd game. I think he's at that point where you're pretty much just playing this thing out at this point. But it was good those first couple weeks just be aware of it, and then also trust Zeke's response and how he feels and all those sorts of things, and just balance all that stuff out.
How much do you use analytics when it comes to your game planning and those kinds of things?
I look at all that stuff. I like that stuff. I like looking at it. Certainly in the offseason, you get to, just learn a lot of football, learn those studies. It's at the end of the day, you kind of got to, balance that out with how our offense is approaching things. But, you try and use all the material you can.
When you weren't the quarterback in the huddle, either in Detroit or here, were you calling your own plays in your mind, even though you might have been relaying plays? And thinking about those things like, I would have done something different, or I wonder why they did this?
I think you naturally are sitting on the sideline, going through the game, treating it, a little bit, trying to figure out, okay, what are we maybe going to here? And then you hear it and kind of, go through the thought process of maybe why they went that approach. But I've been around some good ones. Scott's been awesome all these years. Even in Detroit, we had Joe Lombardi, who came from New Orleans, and so you kind of learn from all those guys and kind of go through their process and hopefully pick up on a few things.
And is that, now that you are calling the plays, has that made things a little easier because in your mind you might have been doing it to a degree?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably putting yourself in those situations. So hopefully, one day if you're in that situation, you kind of gone through the process a little bit.
Connor Williams had a pretty good test on Sunday, facing
Yeah.
94.
Yeah.
There were some good moments, like he had that combo block in the first run of the second half, but there also were some teachable ones
Yeah.
that's going to happen against a player like that.
Yeah.
What did you take of his performance and the advantage of going up against someone like that moving forward?
He did a really good job. You're not going to win every battle against guys like that, and so Connor's doing a great job. He fought, he kept battling. Certainly had some moments where you probably want to play a little bit better, and then he had a whole bunch of moments, especially as that game progressed, where he did a really, really good job. So we love Connor.
How have you seen his comfort just evolve in terms of someone who played tackle in college? And then
Yeah.
Now he's obviously interior lineman year 2 of that.
Yeah, certainly the second year, different position from college, and then you can just tell he's bigger. I think he's grown into himself a little bit more and got comfortable, and certainly with that group, a pretty veteran group that's been around together, and so once he gets acclimated like he did last year, now they're in such they're so in sync, all 5 of those guys. It's pretty special to watch them.
Talked to Todd Downing, and he said when in Detroit, when you were running the scout team, you would tell him you would change the backside route here, change the protection here. How much did that stuff, when you're running the scout team, help as well?
Yeah. I think being on a scout team obviously is awesome for any backup quarterback. It's a chance to get reps, to play, maybe to go through what a different offense is going through, maybe learn from those bits and pieces. And so, it's obviously very fortunate to go through.
You have Flores this week. Later on, you get Patricia and Belichick. Are you ever mindful of facing similar schemes later in the season of what you show earlier at all?
Yeah, it's certainly probably a little bit unique in the sense that it's a defense that we haven't really played a whole lot. New England last time played was probably 15 was the last time, and then Detroit last year. And so those are the only 2 times really we've played this scheme. And so it's not a scheme we see every time, but ultimately we're going to see it 3 times this year. So it's one of those you got to study in the off season before we got into this stage and continue to kind of build on that.